Good afternoon, everyone. Hello. So, who all we have here? Ankit, Gaurav, Avi, Prathamesh, Harshev. All right. So, now I am live. Is my screen visible? And my voice, am I audible to everyone? All right. So, that poems. Every year you get at least one poem with 2 to 3 questions. So, कम से कम 2 मार्क्स और अधिक से अधिक 5 मार्क्स यहीं से आ जाएंगे. ऑल राइट. दो पोम आ गए तो एक पोम में 3 सवाल होंगे, दूसरे में 2 सवाल होंगे. ऐसा आमतौर पे होता है. ठीक है, तो 2 नंबर तो कम से कम होंगे ही होंगे. थैंक्स अंकित. सो poems of women, a master class on that poems by me. So let's start it. The first thing you need to understand is in that the difference between 90th percentile and 99th percentile often comes down to option elimination. And I hope you understand that, right? Option elimination. The examiners are masters at creating near miss distractors, options that sound smart but are technically wrong. Okay, so what I have done here, I have not taken the PYQs, as there will be 2 more sessions which will be based on poems. So I'll be doing PYQs also on the poems. Today, my entire focus is on poems by women. How many women do we have here in the live stream today? Today is NMAT exam as well. So I think not many people will be joining. All right. Now, the first one is Emily Dickinson. Emily Dickinson, by some people, is considered to be the best poetess in America and even in the world, one of the best. Nice, Samriddhi. Good afternoon. All right. So the first poem is Hope. What I'll do, the first poem I'll make it solve you, like make you solve it. And once you have solved, I'll give the solution, and then I'll give you a kind of a presentation or clarity on how to eliminate the options and what options have to be chosen. Okay, so first poem is like a your I can give you different ways, to how to select the best option. But for the first option, I wanted to create your own way so that it will be better for you to understand what is the right way over there. Favorite poetess? That's great. Here we go. So time that I'll be giving in, solving the all the questions and reading the poem is 6 minutes. So your time starts now. I'll be on mute now. Okay. So, yeah. So first of all, I'll try to read the questions. Okay. So in the first question, it talks about the nature of hope. Second talks about the meaning of this line and never stops at all. And in the third, it talks about the how to weaken the poet's characterization of hope in the final stanza. So in the final stanza, we need to find the characterization of hope. Is that clear? That is how we have mapped the entire poem. Okay. Vedant, yeah, it is possible. There are 95% chances. Okay. So let us read. Now I'll go back to the poem. Okay. So it starts with hope is the thing with feathers that perches in this soul. Feathers, that means it's a bird. Hope is a bird that perches in this soul. What is perching? When a bird perches, that means a bird is sitting somewhere. So there is a this thing, a wall, let's say a wall, a boundary, and the bird is sitting over here. So that is perches in this soul. So soul is the boundary over here where bird is perching. And sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. So is singing a tune without the words. What does that mean? That hope has got no words, right? Hope has got no words. It's still it's just there, and it never stops. And sweetest in the gale is heard. Probably gale is a maybe a place. And sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. So basically, the storm, even if it is sore, which can, the little bird is hope here, which can be abashed by the storm, destroyed by the storm, and still in the entire gale, it's the melody of the bird hope is the sweetest, right? Any storm cannot abash the bird, and the bird has kept so many warm. Warm means hopeful, right? Hopeful, full of energy, full of vitality. I have heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. So hope is there when chillest land means when the so chillest land here is a metaphor when you're at the lowest in your lowest mood. So आप बिल्कुल परेशान हो गए हो बहुत परेशान बहुत बहुत तकलीफ है समझ नहीं आ रहा still hope is there. So you can hear listen to the hope when you are at your extremest low. Strangers see, so strangers see, this is again a metaphor which shows that the situations or the conditions which you are not ready for. Okay, that is why it's a strange sea. Yet never in extremity it asks a crumb of me. Still, the hope is not hope doesn't ask something for me. Basically, hope gives me feathers, hope gives me life, hope gives me basically hope gives me hope. That's all. It's this one is not a very difficult poem, I would say, right? And that is how Dickinson actually wrote majorly. Very, very simple poems, but got a very deep meaning. All right. Now let us go to the questions and let's see how many of you got it right. First one says, which of the following best describes the nature of hope? Okay. Now, first is it's a fragile entity that requires constant nurturing from the individual. Is it fragile? Not really. Even if the hope has been compared with bird, it's not fragile. In fact, hope is what keeps us alive. So basically, we can be fragile, not hope. Is that clear, everyone? Yes or no? Hope is not fragile. Probably we are fragile, but hope gives us strength, even if it is shown to be fragile like a bird. Is that clear, everyone? Because that bird is not shown fragile anywhere. Tell me yes or no. Coming to B, it is a resilient, self-sustaining force that thrives amidst adversity. See, sore must be the storm, chillest land, strangest sea. All these things are talking about the adversity, and hope still is there. So basically, looks like B is correct. Let's see, read C also. I'll put a question mark in front of B. I don't know. Let me read C as well. C says, it is a transactional emotion that offers comfort in exchange for faith. Okay, that's great. So C also looks correct. Now, C is something. C is a statement, which is a trap option here. And because the poem is about comfort, the poem is about emotion, but here the word transaction. This is the word which tells me that C could not be the best option if there is something like B. D, it is a vocal, but ultimately I don't even need to read anything else. It's not vocal, right? It says sings the tune without the words. Without the words, that means it's not vocal. We cannot hear it. So D is also eliminated. Coming to E, it is a sensory experience that is best understood through literal interpretation. Literal, this is out of scope. We'll go with B. Is that clear? Getting it? All of you got this right? Next. What does the poet imply by the line and never stops at all? And never stops at all. This is the line. So let's read it out. Hope is a relentless and sometimes exhausting psychological burden. The internal monologue of human is constantly preoccupied with desire. The essence of hope is its persistence, independent of external circumstances. Human ambition is infinite, can never be fully satisfied. Birth is a physical manifestation of an eternal afterlife. Now, I tell you what, um, it's not a burden. Hope is basically a gift, is eliminated. Coming to B, the poet doesn't talk about desire, so B is also eliminated. D, human ambition, not talked about. Eternal afterlife, not talked about. So we'll go with C. This is an easy one. This is an easy one, right? Arithmetic. Yes, transactional word. It doesn't ask anything in return. Now coming third. Um, if true, would most weaken the poet's characterization of hope in the final stanza. So, what is characterization of hope here? That hope doesn't ask a crumb of me. Hope doesn't ask anything in return, right? Not a payment, not any effort. Hope doesn't ask it at all. Okay, let's see. A says, hope only appears when the individual has provided a crumb of effort. बस खत्म है यही वीकेंड करेगा. A is the answer. बाकी सब गलत हैं. पढ़ने की जरूरत भी नहीं है. So first poem and first the questions I made it easy. Second, third were easy. First one was moderate. B, C, A happens to be the correct choice, and I hope most of you, or maybe all of you, have got it correct. By the way, I've also made this thing for the first question. See, in question, look at option C. Transactional emotion. So C wale ko, why it's tempting. Poem is about comfort. Why it's wrong. The word transactional kills it. The last stanza explicitly says it never asked a crumb, meaning there is no exchange. That lesson, one single word can disqualify an entire paragraph of text. This is something which you need to note down, make a note of. अगर तुम्हारा सही हो भी गया तब भी इसका नोट बना लो and tell me noted. So I'm trying to give, the complete reasoning why to eliminate. Obviously, when I had a lot of time, I could be discussing a lot about poems, but because that is near, so I've just tried to, jot down all the points which are necessary to be explained. Noted? Now, second one, which we have already solved, let's see. Here, the real world logic versus poet's logic in question two. Option A, hope is the relentless and sometimes exhausting psychological burden. It's tempting real life because never stopping can be exhausting, right? Never stopping. Why it's wrong, the poem's tone is grateful and appreciative. Sweetest kept so many warm. Poet doesn't view hope as a burden. अच्छा दैट लेसन हालांकि ये इसमें जरूरी नहीं था फिर भी बता देता हूँ. Don't bring your own cynicism or optimism into the poem. Stay within the tone set by the author. This is needless to say, but I think you should note this down, right? In question number three, it was critical thinking. The weekend question is a classic critical reasoning hybrid. That loves to us, which is the following would most weaken the poet's claim. So here you must identify the core assumption. Now Dickinson's assumption is hope is unconditional, requires zero input from the human. And weakener is anything that proves hope is conditional. So option A. And I think I explained that also. All of you got it also. मयंक मयूर विनेश, आप शायद अभी आए हैं और आपने शायद उसका डिस्क्रिप्शन भी नहीं पढ़ा है. कोई बात नहीं, बता देता हूँ. ये एक सीरीज है जहाँ पे 3 से 4 क्लासेस होंगी. तो पहला मैंने थीम बनाया है, क्यों ना फीमेल्स की पोएम पे बनाया जाए. दूसरा थीम होगा मेल्स पे बनाया जाए. तीसरा थीम होगा इंटरनेशनल पोइट्स का. चौथा होगा इंडियन पोइट्स का. ओके, चलो. सो हियर वी गो. नाउ Now I'll tell you what all things need to be kept in mind for elimination of options. Okay. Error type, I have given error type in the first column, description, second column. So error type and description. First is out of scope. The option introduces an idea not mentioned, for example, afterlife in question two. Okay, afterlife in question two. Cool. So जो मैंने इसीलिए कहा था कि पहले वाले को ये जो चीज़ है ना, ये मुझे आइडियली बतानी चाहिए पहले, पर मैंने नहीं बताई क्योंकि पहले वाला मैंने पोएम जानबूझ के इजी रखा था। तुम लोगों ने अपना एक थॉट बना लिया है और अब मैं बता रहा हूँ कि किस तरह से आउट ऑफ स्कोप चीज़ें आती हैं। फॉर एग्जाम्पल क्वेश्चन टू, आफ्टर लाइफ वॉज मेंशन, दैट इज आउट ऑफ स्कोप. Extreme language uses words like only, always, never, must, unless the poem does too. तो ये सब चीजें एलिमिनेट करने वाली हैं. ऑलराइट. डिस्टॉर्टेड ट्रूथ takes a fact from the poem but twists it the relationship. For example, the transaction in question one. Opposite tone, the poem is hopeful but the option is cynical or vice versa. So basically, there are four ways to eliminate an option: out of scope, extreme language, distorted truth, opposite tone. I would like all of you to note this down, take a screenshot or whatever, and once done, type noted, and we'll go on to the next poem. These are the. So, you know what? I would never try to say that language can be mathematical, but yeah, eliminating the options can be a mathematical thought process. So, we basically look at these four types of error. Majorly, in 90% of questions, these four type of errors will be there. So, out of five questions, out of five options, four will be carrying out some error of these types. All right, sometimes all the options are made like that. That one will carry one error each. Okay, so now let's go to the next one, and this is Sylvia Plath. Sylvia Plath is, I would say, she was a very famous poet in America in 50s, 60s, and she died at an age of 30 years only. And it is believed her IQ was 160. Okay. By the way, I'm not going to teach you literature, which I want to, anyways. I am totally into literature. Seriously, I'm a writer myself. But just to sake of knowledge, you need to know that, right? Because that also asks GK questions. Sylvia Plath, she died at 30 only. It's believed that her IQ was, you won't believe it, was around 160. All right, that was Sylvia Plath for you. And recently, I have seen a lot of my female friends, they are fans of Sylvia Plath, and that is the reason I also tried to read her out. Well, so the first, the past, this thing, the poem that I've chosen is mushrooms. Okay, so let's start it here. I'm going to put on the timer. It's a long poem, so I could not put the questions out there. So I will show the questions first of all. Okay, here are the questions. Read the questions. I'll give you 1 minute to read the questions. Then I'll show you the poems. The poem. In fact, poem is also written over here. You can see it. If it is visible, I won't go back to the previous slide. If it's visible. Angad, yes, that's right. I think it's visible, right? Okay, it's visible. Chalo, solve it. Okay, Prathamesh. Okay, Akshat. After this, by the way, you can see the timer over, the top right. All right. So I think you are done with the poem. How do you like the poem? This is a brilliant poem of Sylvia Plath. I'll tell you why. So first of all, read the questions. The poet uses the phrase "soft fists insist on heaving the needles" primarily to, okay, which of the following best captures the tone of the poem as it progresses? This poem is interpreted as a metaphor for a marginalized social group, which line best supports the idea of strength in numbers. Now, this is a poem which, by the way, you're not literature students and it's not literature. Um, but the thing is, श्रेयस में बताता हूँ मैं. हाँ, a lot of people in 21st century would, or even the people who follow 70s of America, would be keen to believe that this poem is on shrooms, okay, which are basically the psychedelic mushrooms. But you know what? This poem is not about that. It's not about that. Yeah, yeah, Prathamesh. This poem is a specific type in which I'll be discussing all those things. Okay, so this is not about the shrooms, all right? It's about something else. Now, mushrooms are soft, are soft, right? So, first of all, and this poem uses a lot of, what do you say, figures of speech. I'll tell you some of them. I'll take a session on figure of speech also. So, I'll just discuss that. See, this poem is when you start overnight, very widely, discreetly, very quietly. You know what? The moment you read this, what happens to you? I'll just put my camera on so that you can see me and understand what I'm trying to say over here. Um, okay. So, yes, am I visible? I am visible, but I think it's covering up the entire screen. Okay, now it's fine. So, what exactly happens? No, what exactly has happened over here? The moment you read, yeah, pencil, no, not mushrooms. Survey is flat about that. So, overnight, very widely, discreetly, very quietly. Now, do you understand one thing? However fast you want to read this poem, you cannot, isn't it? You cannot. Is that right? Overnight, very jaldi padhu. Overnight, very widely, पढ़ नहीं पा रहा. So I'll have to speak like that. Overnight, very widely, discreetly, very quietly. ये अपने आप ही हो गया होगा. हाँ या ना? जितने लोगों ने पढ़ने की कोशिश की, if you pronounce it out loud, you will see that you are not able to read it fast. Is that right? Is it happening to you? Yes or no? This is known as assonance. Assonance is a figure of speech, which is used when the poet wants to, emphasize on the sounds in such a way that it forms an internal rhythm, internal rhyme. That is assonance. Do you understand that? Yes or no? Clear? So see, I just unlocked a secret. If anyone wants to, and not just to comprehend, but even to read. If anyone wants to understand how to write a poem, then this is a brilliant poem to understand that. So it's full of assonance. Point number one, which is not asked in the question. I'm just telling you for the sake of because I am a writer myself, so I understand these things. So probably it will be helpful for you also. Assonance. Now, not just that, the poem also follows. If you see, there are three lines, three verses in every stanza. Good afternoon, Harshil, right? There are three lines in every stanza, isn't it? Right? And every line has got five syllables. Are, those, are, noses. So, so this is, a perfect, this is called an octet. So it's following a rule of octet in which we have three lines and five syllables in every line. That means 3 plus 5 is 8. It's not free verse. No, Arithro, it's not. Assonance cannot be free words. It is impossible to have write in a free words with assonance. Okay, so this is an octet. By the way, ये तो बहुत डिटेलिंग हो गई, शायद तुम्हें इतनी जरूरत है नहीं जैट के लिए, तुम लोग राइटर बन जाओगे नहीं तो ये सारी चीजें इसके अंदर हैं. मेटाफर्स तो हर जगह है यहाँ पे. Okay, let us try to understand this poem first of all. First thing first, overnight, very quietly, discreetly, very quietly. So this doesn't give us much information, just tells, that something has happened, which is out in the open, but still very discreet, quietly and discreetly. Overnight, hua hai, very quietly. So what has happened? What exactly has happened? Our toes, our noses take hold on the loom, acquire the air. Nobody sees us, stop us, betrays us. The small grains make room. So essentially, when they say small grains make room, so very small feelings, very obscure feelings, they start building up. Yeah, Shriyesh. Okay. So the small grains make room. Soft fists insist on heavy needles, the leafy bedding. So basically, what exactly is happening over here? When they say us, when the poet says us, तो us का मतलब क्या है? यहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा पॉसिबल है कि ये कोई मार्जिनलाइज कम्युनिटी की बात कर रही हैं पोएट, या फिर वुमेन इन जनरल की बात कर रही हैं, हो सकता है ऐसा, है ना। दूसरी एक चीज़ और हो सकती है यहाँ पे, वी आर नॉट रियली श्योर अबाउट द इंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ दिस पोएम, इट इज़ ऑल्सो पॉसिबल दैट इफ इट इज़ टॉकिंग अबाउट वुमेन द स्मॉल ग्रेन्स मेक रूम, हो सकता है ये प्रेग्नेंट वुमेन की बात हो रही है, दैट्स ऑल्सो पॉसिबिलिटी। सो देयर आर मल्टीपल इंटरप्रिटेशंस हियर, दैट इज व्हाई Zat would not ask you questions on the interpretation of poems because that will be totally literature. Zat is not a literary exam, it's an aptitude based exam, right? Pratmesh, a group of people. Most, the most plausible is it's talking about the pregnant women. Even the paving or hammers are rams, earless and eyeless, perfectly voiceless, widen the crannies, shoulder through holes, we diet on water, crumbs of shadow, bland mannered asking. So basically, a pregnant woman, whatever she eats, whatever she eats, that is what the child also eats. The child also gets the nutrition from whatever the woman eats, right? Right? Whitely, so the whitely is just describing, depicting the color of mushrooms, nothing else. All right. And mushrooms are like soft, very soft, isn't it? So quietly is very quietly. So basically, what is happening? If it is about women, then the powerful men do not care about what is going inside a woman. When I say inside a woman, it can be emotions, feelings. It can also be the child, the embryo which is growing inside her. Okay. If the poem can be if the poem is interpreted as the marginalized community, and the powerful people, they don't really care about what is going inside the minds of those marginalized communities. So there are two interpretations of this poem. Little or nothing, so many of us, we are shelves, we are tables, we are meek, we are edible. So basically, we are shelves. Like people think we are shelves, we are non living things, we are tables. So, what do you do with shelves and tables? You just put things over there, right? So, as if on the weak people or in the women, which was uh, right now, okay, the way of feminism is there, and probably women are more powerful than ever before. But still, if you talk about women in general, this is happening. So people are thinking that there is shelves. We can keep things on there. We can do things with table, whatever, all that stuff. So basically, we are non-living things. We are meek. We are weak, right? Ankit, yes, the title is a metaphor. We are edible. So you people eat us. When you say eat edible, eating, what does that mean? Eating is specifically, it has got multiple meanings. Eat us, if it is about the marginalized people, eating them is like, taking advantage of their situation. Eating a woman would be having again two meanings. One is advantage situation, other is like, and maybe if we extrapolate, it means like post-marital rapes, eve teasing, all that stuff. We are edible, people can eat us. Nurtures and showers, in spite of ourselves, our kind multiplies. जैसे भी हम और बढ़ते ही जा रहे हैं, there's no stopping to it, our kind is multiplying. That doesn't mean that we are reproducing more and more. It means the people like us are multiplying because we don't have a way out, right? We shall by morning inherit the earth, our foots in the door. Okay. So um मतलब सुबह सुबह क्या हो जाएगा? Foots in the door, basically the child will be born. So essentially the child is born and again it multiplies. The child is a woman again. So what I'm trying to say over here is that doesn't that is not exactly the women. It can also be marginalized communities, right? Meek is not weak. क्या weak क्या बोल रही हो सुरभि? Meek. People who do not talk much, people who are silent because they feel like there's nothing to talk about. That is meek, right? So there are two interpretations of this poem, but the questions that have been asked over here can be answered with any of the interpretations. Is that clear? All of you get that? Chalo, let's start. In the end, probably there is a possibility that these people will grow. because it says inherit the earth or foods in the door. That means we have arrived. We have arrived. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Prathamesh. I can go much into it because I just love teaching literature, but then I have to stop here itself. Now, let us go to the questions. The poet uses the phrase soft fists insist on. Okay. Highlight the inherent fragility and vulnerability of organic life. Contrast the physical delicacy of subjects with their surprising strength. Suggest that the mushrooms are a violent threat to the natural environment. See, तो वैसे eliminate हो गया क्योंकि poem mushrooms के ऊपर है ही नहीं किसी तरीके से, not the literal meaning. Illustrate the futility of trying to resist the passage of time. Describe a literal botanical process without any metaphorical intent. C and E are already eliminated, right? Now, I'll tell you what. एंड में थोड़ा सा एक मतलब ऐसा नहीं कि पोम पूरी सैड है, सैड स्टार्ट होती है बट एंड में इट लाइट्स अप, राइट? इट लाइट्स अप, इट आल्सो इंस्पायर्स एंड मोटिवेट्स एंड इट्स लाइक सॉफ्ट फिस्ट्स इंसिस्ट ऑन हीविंग द नील्स द लीफी बेरिंग. तो यहाँ पे क्या है कि भले ये लोग देखने में बहुत कमजोर हैं या दबे हुए हैं, कुचले हुए हैं, बट इनके बहुत सारी स्ट्रेंथ है. तो राइटर ने, पोएट ने ये बात भी यहाँ पे बताने की कोशिश करी है. So it's not just the inherent fragility and vulnerability. It's not inherent, right? It is something which people think because these people, the marginalized communities, it can be women or so they are somehow become they are meek, okay, and because they are meek, people do not understand what kind of strength they might be possessing. That's also a possibility in the poem, and because of that possibility, we cannot actually go for A. So A is also eliminated. Now, illustrate the futility of trying to resist the passage of time. It's not there. Will be the physical delicacy with their surprising strength. Soft fist, मतलब कि जो delicacy है, physical delicacy, heaving the nails, the leafy bedding. So basically, there is surprising strength. So B is the most plausible, most feasible option here. Is that clear? Is that clear? Everyone understood? अरे no, there is no objectification here. No, 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 no. Objectification तो हुआ ही नहीं बिल्कुल भी ना, कहीं भी नहीं हुआ है. This poem is just presenting truth, and also it's suggesting that there is a way out. There's a way out, and there are some, what do you say, opportunities that even the marginalized communities like women can grow. Clear? Second one. Which of the following best captures the tone of the poem as it progresses? Tone of the poem. From quiet submission to overt aggressive rebellion, there is no aggressive rebellion. There's quiet submission, but there's no rebellion. In the end, we inherit the earth or foods in the door. A lot of people who don't understand the poetry might feel that A is correct, right? How many of you felt that? देखो ये क्या है कि सुबह तक हम इनहेरिट द अर्थ और फूड्स इन द डोर व्हेन वी हैव अराइव्ड. सो वी आर नॉट येट aggressive, we are not rebelling. So A is an extreme term, and because of the framework that I gave you how to eliminate the options, something that is really extreme is not normally the answer. Let's look at B. From scientific observation to emotional desperation. From scientific observation to emotional desperation. Hmm. All right, what do you think? साइंटिफिक तो हुआ ही नहीं है कहीं पे भी, है ना? इट इज टोटली मेटाफोरिकल. फ्रॉम डिसेप्टिव ह्यूमिलिटी टू अ सेंस ऑफ इनएविटेबल क्वाइट पावर. सी लुक्स करेक्ट टू मी. डिसेप्टिव ह्यूमिलिटी. सो देयर humility and deceptive. Why it is deceptive? Because there is a kind of strength which is not out in the open. People do not realize it, but there is a quiet power, inevitable power. So the humility that is being presented is probably deceptive. From joyous celebration to a dark foreboding warning. डार्क फॉरबोर्डिंग वार्निंग. अगेन दिस एक्सट्रीम स्टेटमेंट कि हम वार्निंग कर रहे हैं भाई, औकात में आ जाओ, नहीं तो खत्म कर देंगे गेम तुम्हारा. ऐसा नहीं बोला गया है. फ्रॉम chaotic movement to a state of stagnant stillness, there is no chaos. It was the chaos. It's never. Poet doesn't say it was chaotic. It is something which was there out loud. What was there? That the people are marginalized and people are thought as weak. We'll go for C here. All right. Now the next one. Strength in numbers. Acquire the air, diet on water, earless and eyes, perfectly voiceless. So many of us. It's this was an easy. These correct options. So many of us. इन्होंने दो बार बोला हुआ है. Little or nothing. So many of us. So so many of us actually gives the idea of strength of numbers. So BCD is the correct plausible sequence over here. By the way, how many of you got it right? All of it right. यहाँ देखो मैंने बता के रखा है. For question one, look at the oxymoron soft fists. This is oxymoron. Fist is normally used to denote strength, and soft is soft. So when two opposing meaning and contradictory words are used one after the other, there is oxymoron. By the way, some people think um, now, there's one thing very important. Oxymoron, whenever oxymoron is used, the two contradictory words, the two contradictory words are always used together. If there's a word in between, it's no more an oxymoron. It might be antithesis. Antithesis is like giving contradictory ideas, but whenever there's oxymoron, the words will be used together. For example, faceless voices, noiseless noise, dark light. Getting it? So many of us is not alliteration, erythro. Alliteration में क्या होता है कि you always use the same letter to start all the words. That's not alliteration. Clear? All right. Eliminate C. It's a violent threat. B is correct. It captures the paradox of being delicate yet forceful. So here we have a paradox. Okay. Now question two. Mushrooms start discreetly and quietly. By the end, they multiply and inherit the earth. समझ में आ गया मशरूम क्यों है? Why is it mushroom? Have you seen mushrooms? Have you seen mushrooms growing in natural circumstances? Anybody? If there is rain and you've seen a garden, the mushrooms keep on growing. So they multiply with very, really real fast. So they now, so people are asking about this overnight, discreetly, widely, very quietly, and in the end, they are inheriting the earth. Who are they? They are mushrooms. Mushrooms are basically the metaphors. So they will multiply, inherit the earth, eliminate A, aggressive rebellion. They remain voiceless and meek, correct C, deceptive humility, asking little nothing. Okay, inevitable power. So mushrooms actually inherit the entire earth, entire ground if left unchecked. Even if they are quiet, meek, still they can inherit the entire earth. Question three, finding the evidence. This eliminate E foods in the door implies beginning of a takeover, but not necessarily the reason. So many of us emphasize that the power comes from the sheer volume despite being edible and meek individually. All right, is that clear, everyone? All of you got this? And I think somehow that these notes that I made are enough to make you understand the entire poem and why things are eliminated, why things are correct. Right? Got it? Here comes Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou, she wrote a poem called Caged Bird. You know what? All these images are AI generated. Some of you might be knowing I am an AI filmmaker. I have made many small films, and I'm making a film which is going to film festival through AI. So obviously, there's no photo like this of Maya Angelou. In fact, Emily Dickinson, she was living in 19th century. There's no camera at that time. All these have been made through AI. Okay, Maya Angelou. So I'll start the timer here. Here we go. All right. Who all are present here? Okay, from the comments I can see Prathamesh, Princel, what's her name? Avi, Arithro. All of you got CBC? Okay, I think I should start. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends. So here, what is important? Free bird leaps. Now, back of the wind floats downstream till the current ends. All these are basically the what do you say, practical details. And dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. Now, this is important. Dares to claim the sky. Okay. But a bird that stalks down his narrow edge can seldom see through his bars of rage. Bars of rage, मतलब वो कैद है. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. So here there is a bird that is in cage. You know, it cannot fly. It can just can. It cannot even see. It can seldom see. You know, very no, seldom means kabhi kabhi. It can see through his bars of rage. So what he does, he only sings. It's like making a uh, um, just kind of just saying things that okay, I am in trouble, right? The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. Distant hill, तो जो इनकी आवाज सुनी जा रही है वो आसपास के लोग सुन नहीं रहे, so कौन सुन रहा है? Distant hill. So अगर आसपास लोग सुनते तो वो कैदी ना होती. Do you understand that? So people who have captured the bird are not able to listen to bird songs. It's like, okay, she's making noise, but it's not just noise. It is basically, now I'll try to make you understand what does it mean. Um, when the weak people talk about, okay, we are in trouble, this is happening, that is happening, and so what exactly people do? I have seen, I've seen that a lot of, most of you must have seen the kind of dichotomy the world possesses. It's like, वो देखो जब होता है ना कोई किसी एक्सीडेंट में गरीब का बच्चा मर गया या ऐसा कुछ हो गया so what is it like? It's not. It's basically it's not even a news. It's not even a story. People do not even sympathize at large, right? It just like, for example, when it happened with this is highly controversial, but yeah, that is out in the open when that famous road rage case of Salman Khan, right? What exactly happened? So it's like I really I don't know. I won't claim that I'm very empathetic, but probably I am. So what exactly happened? All of you know about that Salman Khan road rage accident, and after that, what exactly happened? The people who got killed, who died, were basically they were the poor people. So there was no one to listen to them. Obviously, some people came out in their support, but that support was all about supporting on Facebook and Instagram, right? So there are some people called activists. I'll give you a new word today that is called slacktivists. You know this term, slacktivism? Slacktivism is a new social media term, right? Social media term, which says people think they're activists because they post stuff on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. A lot of people are like that. I've seen people that talk about, on the Facebook, कितना बुरा हुआ उसके साथ और वो लोग खुद ही बुरा कर रहे होते हैं बाकी लोग के साथ. It's like slacktivism is a myth, a self-sustaining myth in which people try to feel good about themselves by posting what they don't actually mean. Okay, you don't know this term, but you know this feeling, right? And probably some of you might also be doing it. If you do it, I'm not judging you. If you do it, don't do it. It's not required. If you want to do something, actually go to the remote villages, remote areas, underprivileged society, go and help them. That rarely happens. Okay, that is slacktivism. So when they see that okay ऐसा तो नहीं है कि लोग बोलते हैं कि यार देखो सही है सोशल मीडिया से लोगों ने मतलब बोलना शुरू किया बोलने से होता नहीं है कुछ that is slacktivism, right? So in the end what exactly happened? Now there was some singer called Abhijit. He said out loud कि अ, कुत्ता रोड पे सोएगा तो कुचला ही जाएगा. That those were his words. Abhijit the singer. Now the thing is उन गरीबों की, इस केस में या किसी भी केस में मार्जिनलाइज कम्युनिटी की आवाज को शोर माना जाता है और उसको दबाने की कोशिश की जाती है उनको गलत तरह से कंपेयर करके, राइट? So this Maya Angelou, if you don't know her background, she is a real activist. She's not just a poet; she's a real activist who talks about equality and oppression of marginalized communities. So majorly black. So uh, what is she's trying to say, that there's a caged bird and there's a free bird. Free bird knows that there is a limit to the sky. No, there are no limits, but the caged bird doesn't even know about the sky, let alone knowing the limits. Getting it? So that is what the poem essentially talks about. Now going back to the questions, and let's see what the questions are and what the right correct answer should be. All of you got it? चलो देखते हैं पहला. The poets, by the way, I think all of you must have marked it right. The poet's choice of the word stalks to describe the caged bird's movement in contrast to the free bird's leaps serves primarily to what? First is emphasize the predatory nature of the bird despite its confinement. Stalks. Too literal a meaning for the modern lingo. No, that's obviously not the reason. Even if you feel it, that is the word, but if you read the entire poem in entirety, A can be eliminated outrightly. Now, next, B. Highlight the rhythmic, almost dance-like quality of the bird's suffering. Dance-like quality. It's a too positive a meaning. So extreme is not always bad. Extreme can be good also. So itna good to tha nahi condition ye dance like se compare kare. See, underscore a sense of frustrated, suppressed energy and restricted agency. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. Bars of rage. So there is frustration, energy is suppressed, agency is restricted. C looks correct to me. D says suggests that the bird is preparing for an imminent escape. Does it suggest that? नहीं, ये बोल रहे हैं कि his wings are clipped, his feet are tied, he opens his throat to sing. It cannot escape, it can just sing. Basically, singing here is अच्छा बाद में बोला भी गया है. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill. उसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि वो बहुत खुश होकर गाना गा रही थी. No, it was just trying to make people understand, okay, ये हमारे साथ हो रहा है. Well, so D is eliminated. Coming to E, contrast the physical health of the free bird with the illness of the caged bird. Not really. There is kind of a too generic a comparison. We'll go for C because C is the best choice here. All right. More importantly, I'll tell you what. Um, there is a um, um, उर्दू में एक ये है, एक शायरी बोल सकते हैं. सुनाऊं मैं? हालांकि वो शरड़ा सब फनी वे में बोली जाती है, बट यहाँ हल्का सा अगर मैं इसी चीज को थोड़ा उसमें देखूं, मतलब लिटरेरी उसमें, तो इट सेज, इसको फनी भी लोग मान जाते हैं कई बार, कई वो ये वैसे बहुत सीरियस है. इट सेज वो कत्ल भी करते हैं तो चर्चा नहीं होता, हम उफ भी करते हैं तो हो जाते हैं बदनाम. आई थिंक यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड दिस. वो कत्ल भी करते हैं तो चर्चा नहीं होता, हम उफ भी करते हैं तो हो जाते हैं बदनाम. Okay. Now, so the following best explains the situational paradox presented in the third stanza. Situational paradox. ठीक है. The bird sings most beautifully when its physical condition is at its worst. Okay, is that the case? The act of singing is born out of a lack of freedom, not an abundance of it. This is correct. Distant hill represents a freedom that the bird has already experienced. The bird's fearful trill is intended to scare away potential predators. The things unknown are more terrifying to the bird than the cage itself. Now, here, जो बताया मैंने कि वो गाना क्यों गा रही थी, क्योंकि ऐसा नहीं खुशी से गा रही थी, पहले एक्सप्लेन कर चुका हूँ. सो आई थिंक बी इज द मोस्ट प्लॉसिबल सीक्वेंस. देयर इज नो नीड टू एलिमिनेट अदर्स, राइट? Yeah, Prathamesh. If the free bird represents a dominant social group, the line dares to claim the sky suggests that privilege is often characterized by. If it represents a dominant social group, dares to claim the sky. A humble recognition of one's natural environment, humble तो नहीं है बिल्कुल, dares to claim. Aggressive need to protect one's territory from outsiders. Now, claiming the sky, when you claim the sky, it's not that you're protecting the territory. It's not your territory. You're claiming it, right? So it's not yours. You're basically you feel that you're entitled towards it. सी सेंस ऑफ एंटाइटलमेंट सही है, मैंने जो वर्ड यूज किया वही यहाँ पे ऑप्शन में भी दिया हुआ है। यू फील लाइक यू नो व्हाट इज एंटाइटलमेंट, ये तो मेरा ही है ना, ये तो मुझे ही, ये एंटाइटलमेंट बहुत जगह होता है। इट इज इन रिलेशनशिप्स, इट इज इन टर्म्स ऑफ मनी, टर्म्स ऑफ हाउस, टर्म्स ऑफ इवन अ कप। ओके, आई एम एंटाइटल्ड टुवर्ड्स दिस। सो एंटाइटलमेंट जब होता है विद मिस्टेक्स कॉमन रिसोर्सेज फॉर पर्सनल प्रॉपर्टी, that is entitlement, and I have seen many people like that. Constant state of anxiety regarding loss of one's status, no. Deep spiritual connection, the deep connection spiritual nahi. So basically it's the sense of entitlement which in fact, the question talks about a dominant social group. So it's not the free bird is like that. No, the free bird, according to the poem, is not like that. But for the question, which says free bird is representing dominant social group, in that case, we can actually infer that it is a sense of entitlement, the claiming the sky. Is that clear, everyone? All of you got it? Ankit? Yeah. No, I'm still not talking literature much. All right, so here, why B is trapped, dance like is too positive, stalking implies restless, angry pacing. C is right, suppressed energy perfectly matches bars of rage. C, the bird wants to move but has nowhere to go. Question 2, answer is B. Usually think of birds singing because they are happy. Here the bird sings because wings are clipped. The song is a protest, not a celebration. This is the classic inversion of logic Zat loves. Inversion of logic, हालांकि ये easy तरीके से बताया था. Next session में I'll make the same things really difficult. So basically, you know the entire thing, you know the entire framework, you understand these things like inversion of logic, all those things that I mentioned over here, which might be seeming rudimentary to you because most of you have answered correctly. But you know what? These things, I have done it consciously. The next session, the same framework would be used to eliminate the options inversion of logic, extreme statements, extreme options, trap options, जो इस सेशन में भी हैं बट अगले में बहुत डिफिकल्ट हो जाएंगे क्रैक करना. All right, so be ready for that. Third, why B is a trap? The free bird isn't protecting, it is just claiming. Why C is right? Claim the sky, something belongs to everyone as your own property is ultimate sign of entitlement or privilege. Is that clear, everyone? I hope you're making notes. This framework is gonna help you. So to make people understand a framework, you need to do it. You need to implement it on the easy things, obvious things. Then only a framework would be understood by the crowd. Is that clear? Now, next is Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Look at the kind of image that I have made over here. It's all about prompting. She looked like this only, and there was no camera at that time. Okay, 19th century poet. चेरी ब्लॉसम बनाया मैंने, उनके हाथ में एक लेटर रख दिया है. ठीक है. And the poem says, if thou must. Now, here, the language that she used was Victorian era English, which was used by Shakespeare as well. Thou, thine, all that stuff. Majorly, I have not seen such poems asked in Zat. Zat majorly asks contemporary poems. Uh, but what if they do? Okay, so I have just consciously chosen a poem in which English is slightly twisted, uh, the Victorian English. But you know what? To help you, I have also given you the glossary. So you can thank me later. The glossary is there because the some words can be some words can be misunderstood here. So I'll start the timer. First, I'll show you the questions. Where are the questions? Take a screenshot of the questions. Then I will show you this slide. Or maybe you can take a screenshot of the vocabulary glossary. Maybe that will be a better idea. So okay, just do one thing. Take the screenshot of the glossary. Do it quick. Red Ankit. So yeah, ICSE. Even I am from ICSE board. Those who are from ICSE board would not be finding much difficulty, but those who are not would feel that this is a banger. You know, I'll wait for 10 seconds more so that all of you take the screenshot of this slide in which glossary is there. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Here we go. The timer is already there. All right. So here am I. So people have marked BBC majorly. That's great. So because a lot of you are from ICSE board and Ankit is already a literature honor student. So here the words not. By the way, this you must have heard this word in physics also. Not. Epsilon not याद है? Epsilon not we use that, right? है ना? Certus is certainly for sure. Trick of thought, particular way of thinking or a clever idea. Wrought, created, made or shaped. Unwrought, undone, destroyed, melted away. Thine is yours. Pity, compassion for suffering. Eternity, infinite time. ठीक है, चलो, let's try to understand this. What are the questions? The questions here are poets' primary argument about against being loved for a trick of thought or a gentle way of speaking is based on the premise that why does the poet reject pity as a motivation for the beloved's affection? Which of the following best describes structure of logic in the poem? Okay, here I've also written the exact summary of the poem. This is sonnet. You know what's a sonnet? What's a sonnet, by the way? 14 verses are there. Not just 14 verses, it also follows a pattern. ठीक है, literature class नहीं है इसलिए मैं आगे बताऊंगा नहीं. But this is sonnet. It's a classic logical argument. Okay, so I made it aptitude based. जो summary मैंने दी है, summary भी कैसी है? Summary is not literary. Getting it? The summary is totally logical, जैसा कि एप्टीट्यूड में होता है. It's a logical argument disguised as a poem. Browning isn't just being romantic, she's being a lawyer for her own heart. She's essentially saying, if you love me for my beauty, my voice, or my sadness, your love has an expiration date. I want a love that is that is future proof. All right. The main thesis, lines 1 to 2. If thou must love me, let it be for naught except for love's sake only. She starts with a condition. If you must love me, do it for no reason at all except for the sake of love itself. This sounds weird, but she immediately explains why. Clear? Do not say I love her for her smile, her look, her way of speaking gently for a trick of thought. Okay, that falls is in well with mine and certes brought sense of pleasant ease on such a day. So the surface trap. She lists the reasons people usually give: a pretty smile, a nice look, gentle way of speaking, even intellectual compatibility. That is a trick of thought. Trick of thought is intellectual compatibility, right? She warns that these are dangerous foundations because they are mutable, changeable. If she loses her smile or changes her mind, the love may be unwrought, undone, right? For these things in themselves, beloved, may be changed or changed for thee and love so wrought. So basically क्या पता मेरी smile change हो जाए, बाद में बूढ़ी हो जाऊंगी, है ना? Lot of stuff. तुम change हो जाओ. All these things can happen, right? Which normally happen. All of you have gone through. So love in 18th century, love in 21st century, there is only one difference. That is earlier people were living in close communities and they had a feeling of kinship. So basically there were not many options. आजकल options ज़्यादा हैं लेकिन ultimately the feeling of love is same. We are humans after all, right? All of you agree to that? Love in 18th century, from which this poetess is, and love in 21st century, from which we are. Now we have enough options, and that is also reason I think I should write a sonnet on 21st century love, okay, in which the options confuse us. Now, maybe unwrought so, neither love me for thine own dear pities, wiping my cheeks dry. A creature might forget to weep who bore thy comfort long and lose thy love thereby. But love for me, for love's sake, that evermore, thou mayest love on through love's eternity. So, pity trap, the most psychological part, she says, don't love me because you feel sorry for me and want to wipe my tears. Her logic is brilliant. If she becomes happy because of his love, she will stop crying. If the only reason he loved her was sadness, he won't have a reason to love her anymore when she is healed. ये सारी बातें आज भी होती होंगी, है ना? The resolution, she concludes that only love for love's sake is eternal. If love is its own cause, it doesn't need external attributes to survive. Okay. Great. Nice poem. The poet's primary argument against being loved for trick of thought, gentle way of speaking, is based on the premise that intellectual compatibility is an insufficient foundation for a spiritual union. Physical and temporal. See, intellectual compatibility is a too narrow an option. Poet doesn't talk only about intellectual compatibility. She talks about many more things. So I will reject A because it is very specific. B, physical and temperamental attributes are subject to the volatility of time. That is the real thing. यही तो है, यही तो समझाया मैंने थोड़ी देर पहले. So B looks correct to me. C says the beloved's perception of her beauty is superficial, trick of the mind. This is also true. This is also true, but this is a kind of very again a narrow option because we have B, which is more universal. It encompasses the everything, physical, temperamental attributes. Here, perception of her beauty. Now, beauty perception. तो ठीक है. It's not just beauty; it's perception of beauty. It might change. Now, see, perception might change, but B also talks about not just the perception in reality, temperaments are changing. So B will be better option. D, true love should focus on the flaws of the individual rather than their virtues. ये बात कहीं बोली नहीं गई है, भले सही हो. सो अपनी खुद की नॉलेज लेके नहीं आनी है ना, यहाँ पे तोप नहीं बनना है. E, these specific qualities are too common to distinguish her from other women. ये तो बहुत ही out of context है. So we'll go over B. All right. Two, why does the poet, यहाँ पे B और C में confusion हो सकता है थोड़ा बहुत. Why does the poet reject pity as a motivation for the beloved's affection? Because she finds the act of being pitied insulting to her pride as a poet. ये तो कभी बोला ही नहीं, pride as a poet. Because she believes that once her sadness is healed, the reason for the love will vanish. ये exactly बात मैंने अभी बताई भी summary में. So B is correct here. Right. कुछ और पढ़ने की जरूरत है क्या? Because pity is an emotion that stems from a position of superiority rather than equality, which is true in a way, but not always. Anyways, not given in the poem, so we'll reject that. D, because the creature mentioned in the poem is unworthy of sustained comfort, out of context. She fears that her tears are the only thing that makes her interesting to him. Only thing, ये बहुत narrow option है because we have B as a better option. We'll go for B and reject E over here, right? Next, which of the following best describes structure of logic in the poem? Structure of logic. मैंने पूरा का पूरा अभी लॉजिक यहाँ समझा दिया है. And I think all of you must have noted it carefully, listened to it carefully. So, a list of requirements the beloved must fulfill before being accepted. Chronological narrative of relationship that has fallen into despair. Systematic elimination of conditional reasons for love. So, when I explain that passage to you, this is basically a passage of conditional reasoning, isn't it? जो conditions हैं for love in favor of an unconditional one. This is the systematic elimination. She's eliminating. Don't love me for this. Don't love me for that. Don't love me for this. Okay. So C looks correct to me. D is a cynical warning that all human emotions are destined to be unwrought. Cynical warning. That can be true, but that's not the struct. That can be structure of logic also. But you know what? That is something which will be overthinking. D is a better, more plausible, more pragmatic choice than D. That's why we'll go with C, not B. I'm saying C is a better choice. Desperate idea, plea for attention from an invalid who she feels is being ignored. तो given नहीं है, इसको हटा देते हैं. ठीक है, so C, B, B, C is correct. Here I have given the exact logic also, right? B, the poet says, the reason for love changes, love itself is unwrought. A is too philosophical without contextual proof. C confuses the meaning of trick. B directly addresses the text warning about change. Right? Okay. Second, logic. She says a person might forget to weep if they're comforted too long. If you love her because she's crying, she stops crying, you will lose their love thereby. Elimination C is a common real world reason but is not mentioned in the poem. B is the only one that follows. If X, then Y, logic of the lines. X goes to if X, then Y. This is a logical flow of thoughts. See, the logic, this is a classic XAT structure question. She says, don't love me for A, don't love me for B, don't love me for C, because they are all conditional. Love me for love's sake, unconditional. Elimination D is too negative. Poem is actually an attempt to save the love from ending, not a claim that it must end. Okay, so there is a hope in this poem. So all of you, most of you got it correct. But again, the next session in which I'll be, as I already discussed earlier, the same kind of framework will be used in very, very, very difficult questions. Clear? So why this poem is high yield for that? लॉजिकल रिबटल, क्योंकि प्रॉपर, ये भले ही देखने में बहुत ही लिटरेरी लग रही हो, बट देयर इज अ लॉजिकल रिबटल इफ इट फॉलोज नॉट ए नॉट बी बट सी स्ट्रक्चर विच इज द बैकबोन ऑफ लॉजिकल रीजनिंग. ये VALR का पार्ट इसीलिए, व्हाई दैट ब्यूटीफुली पुट्स VALR in the same bracket. A lot of people think it's because, okay, you have better options to clear the sectional cutoffs, which is, yeah, of course, obviously true. But the VA here is majorly logic driven. Do you understand that? The verbal ability section in that is majorly logic driven. I'll take some RC sessions as well. Conditional reasoning, it is if then logic, abstract versus concrete. It forces you to distinguish between concrete reasons, a smile, and abstract reasons, love's sake. A smile and love's sake. So there's abstract reasoning as well. Logical reasoning, conditional reasoning, abstract reasoning, all these things are there in this poem. That is why this kind of poem has got a high probability of appearing in the exam. Tell me in the comments, do you agree? Is that right? समझ में आ रहा है क्यों मैंने ये पोएम चूज की है? समझ में आई है होगा? Then because a lot of thought in designing these slides, which I don't think I need to discuss that. All of you know that there's no reason for stating the obvious, and no need for stating the obvious also. All the poems have been very carefully selected, and I made it in such a way, the questions framed in such a way so that it becomes kind of easy for you to understand the framework which I'm trying to give you over there, which you'll be using in the future sessions. So this is what, and as I discussed with you earlier, the next is poem by men, masterclass in sad poems by me. Do you recognize this person? Anyone? He wrote a great poem of all times. He's a romantic poet. He was a romantic poet. Obviously, at that time, तो और पहले की बात है, 15th century possibly. उस टाइम तो क्या वो पेंटिंग्स हुआ करती थी. सो पेंटिंग देख के ही ये मैंने जनरेट करा है फोटोग्राफ. इट इज सो हाईली रियलिस्टिक, isn't it realistic? Shakespeare with hair? No, Arithro. Shakespeare did not have a face like. He has got a chiseled jawline. Look at him. Chiseled jawline, high cheekbones, thin lips. Shakespeare did not have it. Shakespeare had a kind of what do you say, jowls on his cheeks. विलियम वर्ड्सवर्थ? नो, या बट वर्ड्सवर्थ जैसे लग रहे हैं. 15th century बोल रहा हूँ भाई, बहुत पुरानी बात हो गई है. Nobody knows. देखते हैं कौन बताता है. I want to know. Let's see who actually, मैंने एकदम तुम्हें दिया है. 16th century होगा, इसमें 17th at max होगा. 18th तो नहीं था, इतना मुझे पता है. मैं चेक कर लूँ कब थे ये. ये थे 18th century. Yes, 18th century. वर्ड्सवर्थ तो बहुत बाद में आए थे, वो 20th century में थे, एक्टिव थे. Okay, so before we go, so basically this poem by men will be coming in the next session. Before we go, I want you to read a poem. Do you want to read a poem? There'll be no question, just a poem, and the next session we'll be having questions on that. That's a poem by a man. Okay, just for the ending the session and introducing, giving what do you say, trailer or teaser for the next session. I just want to show you a poem. Do you want to read that? He is Lord Byron. I don't know, nobody don't know about him, Lord Byron. Arithro, yes, Lord Byron, exactly. Lord Byron. Lord Byron was a handsome hunk. I would say the most handsome poet of all times, and most spoiled one also. He's a spoiled genius. It's Lord Byron. Okay, now let me show you a poem. I'll read that poem with you. It will hardly take 5 minutes, then all of us can leave the session. And so अब मैं देखा कि 9 बजे करूँ, 7 बजे करूँ, 8 बजे करूँ, कभी भी क्लास करूँ, लोग आने हैं 10-12। इसीलिए ऐसा करते हैं कि सबके लिए अच्छा हो, तो मैं क्लास 7 बजे ही करूँगा। ठीक है ना? 9 बजे करूँगा ही नहीं। दैट इज वन थिंग। द अदर थिंग इज that I am planning for long sessions, 4 घंटे, 5 घंटे, 6 घंटे, 7 घंटे वाले भी for that. So what I'm planning to do, I want to solve all the all the PYQs of that. Okay, all the PYQs of that. That'll be from what to what, from 2015 to 2024. Ready for that? Would you like that? All right. करना है तो बहुत लंबा टाइम इसमें जाएगा, and this will be happening. So there are two playlists that I'm going to make. One is for the cat fundamentals for 2026. Basically it's not for you. And then the um that, so alternate days it will be cat 26 fundamentals, and then that. Oh, this is a huge thing. Anyways, I'll open here only, not a problem. Okay. And the other thing will be this, what do you call, these that PYQs. All right. ठीक है सबको, ठीक है, चलेगा ये? ठीक है। Should I open the poem now? आई थिंक अच्छा, अरित्रो बोल रहे हैं कि सर 7 बजे ना करो, बिकॉज अरित्रो या some pertinent live also. बाकी लोग कुछ बोल ही नहीं रहे, कुछ तो बोलो यार। What do you think? All right, so here we go. अभी बोल रहा है 7 PM कर दो। चल। टाइमिंग इज नॉट एन इशू, नो नो पृथ्वी, वो बात नहीं है। इट विल बिकम इशू फॉर मी, दैट इज द प्रॉब्लम। यू नो व्हाई? इफ कम लोग ही आने हैं तो फिर कभी भी करो। 9 से मैं इसलिए करता हूँ कि उसमें ज़्यादा लोग आने के लिए बोल रहे थे, बट उसमें क्या है कि मेरे को ना बहुत प्रॉब्लम होती है। ओके चलो, एवरीवन, नाउ लेट्स ट्राई टू रीड दिस वन। ओके, शुड आई मेक इट, ऐसे करूँ तो ज़्यादा दिखाई देगा क्या? Lady in the Sea. Let's start. I'm the poet of this. There's a book by me. So this is how it goes. जल्दी से पढ़ लेते हैं इसको. इस पे अगले में एक मैं वो भी कराऊंगा क्या क्वेश्चन. Damsel beauty, dashing charm. Damsel beauty, dashing charm. Sea green eyes adore waters calm. Cascade hair, clouds reflect. The illustrations are like that only. Red of her lips, horizons connect. So you must have seen the horizons, this orange in color, right? Isn't it? So उनके जो red lips हैं, they're like horizons. They're connected. Waves motivate by waistline. You see, the waist is like, wavy. So it's not that her waist is like wave. In fact, the waves are like her waist. Do you understand the kind of figure of speech I have used here? You can answer it in case you know. Okay. So waves motivate by her waistline, not the other way around. This kind of figure of speech is rarely used by poets. Tears engulf all sea brine. Sea brine समुद्र का खारापन जो नमक है उसको tears इनके tears engulf कर ले रहे हैं. आमतौर पे we compare the beauty of a living person with nature, but here what I'm doing, I'm comparing the beauty of nature with a living person. Okay, tears engulf all sea brine. Scattered isles. Isles is islands, acronym for islands. Isles bosoms define. Trees on them with blossoms fine. Trees on them with blossoms fine. All right. Um, As sand particles to crevices reach, she basks in the sun and dances on the beach. Bask. Bask is an action of, sunbathing. It's like sunbathing. When you sunbathing is basking. Okay, bask in the sun. You don't sit in the sun. You just bask in the sun and dances on the beach. Rolling lady on the seashore. Nature rejoices. Touch on the floor. Rolling lady on the seashore, nature rejoices, touch on the floor. Oft is acronym for often. Oft fishermen such sight see dolphins and elephants joyously spree. Elephants are परियों के बच्चे. Okay, जो बच्चे हैं परियों के वो elephants उन्हें कहते हैं हम लोग. The children of fairy. Fishermen, of fishermen such sight see dolphins and elephants joyously spree. Okay, now look at this. Sun and moon watch and the sky, poet on cliff and the birds that fly. So here I have made myself a character. Basically, I'm watching that lady on the seashore. I'm on a cliff and I'm watching. So I'm watching, sun is watching, moon is watching, okay, and birds are watching. Sun and moon watch and the sky, poet on cliff and the birds that fly. Now, till here, I want to ask you, what do you feel? What kind of poem is this? Is it about romance, love, nature? What is it exactly about? I want to ask you. I want to give you 10 seconds for this. Tell me, by now, what have you understood? बहुत लंबा नहीं बताना है, एक लाइन में, एक वर्ड में, दो वर्ड्स में. What is my motive behind writing this poem? Is it about some of my what girlfriend, romantic partner? What exactly is it? What do you think? Thanks, Sylvie, for that. But what do you think about this? This is a love poem. What exactly is it? Till now, what have you thought? Because whatever you think about this poem is going to change. You will be flipped. You will go bonkers. Your mind will be crazed. Ugly line बढ़ते ही. Sun and moon watch and the sky, poets on cliff, and the birds that fly. Okay, Avi, let's see. The next line is, and look at the illustration also. I peep through my eyes her every stance, many a night's rotten courts dance. So the moment okay, Arithro, personification of nature in form of damsel. When I said that the poet on cliff, that is me. I use curly. I peep through my eyes at every stance. Many a night's rotten courts dance. अंकित इज नॉट अ सटायर, नो। मैं देख रहा हूँ उसकी सारी की सारी मुद्राएं, उसके नृत्य की, और कई रातों में देखा मैंने कि उसके आसपास सड़ी गली लाशें नाचती हैं। वाह। What just happened? So all the beauty and romance and love that was going in your mind, it just changed. It has become very dark now. Zombie नहीं है अभी. Sky droppeth, honey dew from heaven. I flanked her lips with kisses seven. सेवन इज अ नंबर, सेवन का नंबर की क्या महिमा है ये मैं मैथ्स की क्लास में बता चुका हूँ. स्काई ड्रॉपथ हनी ड्यू फ्रॉम हेवन. यू नो व्हाट हनी ड्यू इज? हनी ड्यू, ठीक है, तो मैं लग रहा है नॉर्मल बात है. हनी ड्यू इज बेसिकली अ टर्म रेफरेंस ऑफ बाइबल. सो व्हाट हैपेंड, हनी ड्यू और माना ड्यू, इट इज यूज्ड जब जब क्राइस्ट के साथ लोग जा रहे थे और खाना खत्म हो गया था, तो क्राइस्ट ने कुछ किया था, खाना सबके पास आ गया था. Okay, so it is food of heaven, godly food. Honeydew is basically a phrase from Bible. Okay, kisses seven. Hallucinated trees moved to the wind. We crossed our legs and to and fro did swing. It's basically an act of love making. So now, after seeing, the poet has seen that this is such a dark sight to see. After that, poet has fallen for her. Isn't that strange? The strange kind of love. From montane glands, honey effuse among all things. Honey I choose. Mountain glands, mountain-like glands. Honey is effusing among all things. Honey I choose. Sea spread its arms to make me calm. तो वो समुद्र में ही थी. Sea spread its arms to make me calm. Pink lips and teeth red. To the fishermen, to the fishes, flesh I fed. Universal ether dragged me in bed. Fluid in me grew more red. Universal ether, it's a concept by Aristotle or Socrates. uh, Bed is seabed, fluid in me grew more red. मेरा तो फ्लूइड कौन सा है, ब्लड, वो और रेड हो गया. Hovering over me, wanton smiled. I fled from there and painfully cried. Wanton is a playful person, okay, a player, a playa, you call it playa nowadays. Hovering over me, wanton smiled. तो मैं समुद्र के नीचे लेटा हुआ हूँ सी बेड पे, और ऊपर वो तैर रही है. She is smiling. I fled from there and painfully cried. Satan satired sentry in satin. This is alliteration, Avi. This is the best case of alliteration. Satan satired sentry in satin of humans of supreme native. This is pure alliteration because the words have been used. S is the letter, the same letter. Satan satired sentry in satin. Whose sentry? Of humanity, of supreme native. Humans are supreme native, right? Well, like Satyr, Satyr not. Satyr is a Greek mythological figure, Satyr, who was shown to have perpetual erections, and they were uh, overcharged sexually, and they were never satisfied. Like Satyr, saturated knot, I lie over her to untie the knot. Centuries have passed and so have I. Once again, they play the Rai. Rai is a sad song. Centuries have passed. So for ये सब चीजें कई शताब्दियों चली आ रही हैं. So have I. Once again, they play the Rai. Universal ether drags me in bed. Now the same thing has been is happening again, right? Universal ether, अभी yes, half goat, half man. Ether drags me in bed. वही ether जो पहले था, वो था dragged me in bed था, past था. अब यहाँ पे ये present, simple present हो गया है. Ether drags me in bed. Fluid in me grows red. Fluid in me grows red. Hovering over me, wanton smiles, I flee from there and painfully cry. Do you see the past instantly happened? Now it is जो past में हो रहा था वो लगातार अभी भी हो रहा है. अभी भी मैं लिख रहा हूँ पोम, साथ में मेरे हो रहा है. Okay. Satan satire century in satin. Simple past. Again, the same thing. I cry like humans, like supreme natives. All right. Chronicle tales describing her are false if are not false if blur. Chronicle tales, old tales जो चले आ रहे हैं, जो डिस्क्राइब कर रहे हैं उस लेडी को, वो झूठ नहीं है, भले वो खो गए हैं, माइथोलॉजी में खो गए होंगे, पर वो झूठ नहीं है. सो ब्लर इज लाइक समथिंग विच इज आउट ऑफ आवर मेमोरी, नॉट फॉल्स, वो सच है. जैसे माइथोलॉजी को हम बोलते हैं, तो माइथोलॉजी को सच बोलने की बात की गई यहाँ पे. लिटरेचर एंड हिस्ट्री फाइंड नो एस्केप ऑन द ह्यूमन पैराडाइम एंड वॉरियर्स लैंडस्केप. सो बेसिकली ह्यूमैनिटी के जो भी इवोल्यूशन है और जो वॉर्स हैं, उन सब में लिटरेचर हिस्ट्री में ये लेडी हर बार आती है, बार बार आती है. ठीक है. Poet on Cliff. Now coming back to see the kind of loopy poem it is, the kind of non-linear narrative I have made over here. Poet on Cliff still confused. Metaphors and similes are all used. So now this poem is a classic case in which the poet himself tries to analyze and summarize the poem, which normally critics do. So Poet on Cliff still confused. Metaphors and similes are all used, but the huge word, but. She still attracts my eyes and of many fishermen. That's all. That's all. She still attracts my eyes and of many a fisherman. All right. I wrote this poem during my teenage years. Since then, मैंने 19 साल में लिखा था exactly. Then I have come across various interpretation. I would love to know what's yours. Drop your message. This from the book actually. Next was the castle on the beach. All right. So that's all. Okay. We'll have some questions in the next lecture on this one. How do you like the poem? It shifted from so many things. It has so many interpretation. It has got so many different um, um, ideas, literary terms, and literary devices used all at once. Okay. Next session में the poem by men एक poem ये भी डाल दूंगा मैं. All right. So that's all. How do you like the poem? Was it good? Avi, that's also an interpretation. That's the story of mermaid. People have told me this interpretation as well. और end में मैंने illustration में डाल भी दिया है mermaid. All right then. चलो. Take care all of you. I'll see you रात का सेशन और फिर जो हर दिन हो रहा है ना. So be ready for 4 to 5 hour sessions as well, which will be happening from Monday, in which we'll be discussing the ZAT PYQs. I'll solve the entire all the sections, not just quant TI or VL or whatever. I'll solve the entire section, including GK, on every alternate day. Okay. It's not just mermaid. Okay, Sylvie. Chalo. Bye bye. Take care.